Today's episode of True Crime Tuesday is brought to you by Surfshark. Surfshark is a cybersecurity product that improves your online privacy and protects you from hackers. Surfshark's VPN basically acts as a shield and hides your IP address so everything you do online stays private. Whether it be reading the news, Googling some dodgy info, streaming some shows, listening to podcasts just like this very one, or anything else you may do online. Try Surfshark today, totally risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get Surfshark VPN at surfshark.deals/darkness. Enter the promo code DARKNESS for 3 extra months for free. You heard me right, 3 extra months free. That's surfshark.deals/darkness. Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday. It's a True Crime Tuesday, and we're going to do things a little different today. It is ripped from the headlines here on True Crime Tuesday, and with that, we're going to bring in a special co-host. No, it's not the BCB. No, it is not Mally Fox. It is the one, the only, the incredibly gifted and talented author herself, Ms. Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jessica. How you doing?
Hello, what a great introduction. Thank you.
Well, I try to be somewhat original on this show. Before we jump into Rip from the Headlines, and then later on we have Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals today. By the way, we have to mention today's program is brought to us by Surfshark VPN. Make sure I mention that we're sponsored today. Tell us what's going on in your life.
Oh, I'm just really trying to get a bunch of book deadlines met, so I'm kind of boring right now. I'm just writing a lot and researching, but it's been a lot of fun.
Not boring in the least. I saw you had a writers' conference going on last week.
Yes, I got to speak at a writers' conference for 2 days. It was a blast. We got to talk about all things creepy.
Oh, see, that's fun.
That's my favorite.
That's not boring at all.
I always feel boring because my friends always want to do stuff. And I'm like, I can't. I have a book deadline. I'm stuck in my office again.
Do you realize how cool that is? Most people are like, oh, I'm going to the 9 to 5 again. Oh, I got to go, work at Shakey's or whatever it is they're doing. You're like, oh, no, I have a writer's conference. I got a huge deadline. I've got to write. I've got to get creative here.
I got to write about ghosts. That's what I'm writing about right now. Ghost stories of Pennsylvania. It's so fascinating.
See, look at that. Most people give their right arm to do that.
I'm lucky. I'm not complaining. See? It just makes me feel like a nerd.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, I tell you what, Jess, we'll get you out of the nerd vein here. We'll talk about people doing dangerous stuff. How does that sound?
Ooh, danger.
Danger. Well, I don't know that you want to be in this kind of danger, though. We have some rough stuff here. A little bit of a trigger warning for you here today, especially in the front part of the program. We're going to be talking about some rough stuff today. So, yeah. So if you're easily triggered, today might not be your show, especially the Rip from the Headline segment today. There's some rough topics in the front part of the program. You might want to go to the back half of the program for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, where there's even more triggering stuff. I don't know. Today might not be your show. I'm not quite sure.
This could be one of those episodes where you make me sad because it's all just so horrible.
No, we tried to keep it a little bit lighter. The idea with Rip from the Headlines today is that we try to get you some of the stuff from the headlines from different areas that, of course, are in the headlines locally, but maybe not nationally. So that's what we do.
I'm ready for it. Lay it on me.
All right. Let's start out going to New York, where this story has appeared in national headlines, but we figured we'd bring it down to our level. A criminal justice advocate is arrested after a man's dismembered body is found in the freezer in a plastic bin. Okay, we are starting off grisly today. Sorry, I lied to you, Jess. Yeah.
It's all right. I'm fascinated by dismemberment. I don't understand how people can, killing someone's bad enough, but then thinking, oh, I'm just, this is a great idea. Let's just get rid of the body by cutting it into pieces.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of fascinated by it too, how someone's mind can go to that place.
Yeah, the psychology of why, like, okay, this is a terrible idea that I just killed someone. Now here's an even more terrible idea. I'm going to cut him into pieces. Oh, and even better, let's store him in my freezer.
Right. Yeah. Let's get worse upon worse upon worse. Let's compound this thing and see how gruesome we can get. A convicted felon who became a criminal justice advocate was arrested this week after police reportedly found a headless body in the 44-year-old victim's apartment. According to News 12 New York, on Tuesday, March 5th, the superintendent of Collins Small Summit Avenue apartment building reportedly contacted the New York Police Department and asked them to conduct a welfare check because he heard several gunshots. WNBC TV reports surveillance footage allegedly shows the suspect, Sheldon Johnson, walking in and out of Small's apartment several times. In some instances, he reportedly carried cleaning supplies in a large trash bag. That's not suspect at all.
No.
No.
Here's where we get dumb and even dumber.
That's right. According to the New York Times, a man on the video evidence changed outfits and wore different hats. Well, it's a fashion statement, Jess. I mean, you got to...
He tried.
Yeah, it's not a Broadway show. It's a killing. On one occasion, he was seen wearing a wig, maybe to make it look like different people were visiting. maybe he felt comfortable with different costume changes. It could be. Who knows? Police arrived late Tuesday night and knocked on Small's apartment door. Johnson reportedly answered. The New York Times reports that investigators obtained a warrant to search the unit, where during the process they discovered Small's torso and feet in a plastic bin. His head, arms, and legs were placed in the freezer. But were they shrink wrapped? That's what I want to know, because...
I mean, I hope some freezer paper, to keep it from getting the freezer burn.
Because that's where I keep my Johnny Pops, Jess. That's where I keep my Johnny Pops.
That's where you draw the line. Don't mess with the man's Johnny Pops.
That's right. Small reportedly sustained at least one gunshot wound to the head. Ow. Police arrested Johnson on Thursday, March 7th, on charges of murder, manslaughter, and criminal possession of a weapon. Johnson's criminal record spans several years. He recently served 25 years in prison after he was convicted of robbery and attempted murder while he was a top member of the Bloods gang. New York Department of Corrections records show he was released in May of 2023. He hasn't even been out that long.
Wow, he sounds like a fine young man.
Yes, an upstanding young citizen. That's right. Following his release from prison, Johnson became a criminal justice reform advocate, working for the Queens Public Defender's Office, and even recently appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast. Maybe the reform didn't last as long as we like to think.
Wow, I'm speechless.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah. News 12 New York reports a judge denied Johnson bail during his first court appearance on Thursday night, as he probably should have. Just saying. That is incredibly horrific.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in for our first story.
I think I could top it.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying. A jealous boyfriend is convicted of shooting his girlfriend's ex 15 times and killing him. You've heard the song, "One Toke Over the Line, Sweet Jesus." Yeah, that might have been maybe one bullet over. I don't know. 15 times is kind of excessive.
That's a lot.
It is, yeah. A man has been convicted of fatally shooting his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend in 2022 because he was jealous of their continued communication. According to the Washington County District Attorney's Office, David Baines was found guilty of second-degree murder, unlawful use of a weapon, and felon in possession of a firearm on Thursday, March 7th. Baines's case was presented in a bench trial, which means the presiding judge determines the verdict. I have a feeling he's up against it.
I think he might be in trouble.
Yeah. Baines will remain in custody until his sentencing on April 24th. On September 18th of 2022, around 8 p.m., officers with the Forest Grove Police Department responded to reports of a gunshot or gunshots near a home on Meadowview Road. Police found the victim with multiple gunshot wounds, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Officers identified Baines as the primary suspect in what prosecutors called an unprovoked attack. Baines was in a relationship with the victim's ex-girlfriend at the time, and he was reportedly jealous of her continued contact with the victim. Further investigation revealed Baines was leaving his girlfriend's home when he noticed that the victim was driving toward the woman's residence in a minivan, which, as we all know, Jess, is the vehicle of amour.
Coming in to swoop her off her feet.
Yes. Yeah, that's always the vehicle you take when you want to woo a woman is a minivan.
I can't resist a man in a minivan.
Wow, that sounds like a slogan. I can't resist a man in a minivan.
It should be a country song at the very least.
I think it is. Yeah. 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 I think, what's her name at the talk show did it? I can't remember her name. The country girl with the talk show. I think that's a song as well. The country girl with the talk show. I don't know. They all have the same name to me. I don't know. I don't listen to it anymore, Jess, since I had to stop doing country radio because of that restraining order.
Oh no. Who's the dumb criminal now?
Yeah. Well, I couldn't stop throwing the CDs out the window. That was my problem. I know I'm supposed to save the rim shots for dumb crime, stupid criminals, but it's just too much fun.
I think that was warranted.
I know, yeah. So Baines was in a relationship with the victim's ex-girlfriend at the time. He was reportedly jealous of her continued contact with the victim. Okay, so we're with the minivan. So he noted the victim was driving towards the woman's residence in a minivan. After all, Jess said you can't resist a man in a minivan. Baines reportedly pulled up to the vehicle and shot his girlfriend's ex 15 times.
He died in the minivan.
That's sad right there.
That's not a way to go.
No. Because it's hard to get blood out of the minivan's upholstery. It's cheap upholstery. I'm just saying it is.
Yeah. That's true.
It is. According to the district attorney's office, each bullet entered the victim's body and he died within minutes. Baines abandoned the firearm and fled to a rural area of Yamhill County to hide, where he slept in some blackberry bushes overnight. That could not have been comfortable.
He slept in blackberry bushes?
Yeah.
Those are thorny.
They are. Well, evidently, he wasn't thorny after he shot a guy 15 times, if you know what I mean. He also covered his truck in a tarp and reset his phone to avoid police tracking. Boy, he got paranoid, didn't he?
Yeah, well, you shoot a guy in his minivan, you really got to cover your tracks.
You really do. A Yamhill County Sheriff's Office deputy found Baines the next day. He took him into custody. Evidently, he didn't do that good of a job, Jess. Just saying.
They saw his feet sticking out of the bushes.
They did. And him going, ow, 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 ow. Just saying, it's really thorny in there. Yeah. The Washington County Search and Rescue Team recovered the handgun Baines used to fatally shoot the victim. Baines admitted he was not permitted to use the handgun as a felon and told detectives he knew what he did was wrong. Prior to his most recent conviction, Baines had been found guilty of manslaughter in 2008. Baines lost control of a vehicle on Highway 47 while driving under the influence of intoxicants. The car reportedly caught fire and a backseat passenger died as a result. So not his first go-around in that category as well. Now, you may be saying, Tim, you can't do one better.
I'm scared.
Oh, don't be.
But let's go. Lay it on me.
All right. Again, ripped from the headlines here. We'll take a break after this story. I think we need one. A disgruntled former customer accused of fatally shooting a dentist and injuring two others. Now, we've all been to the dentist and had some not nice things done to us. Doesn't mean we shoot our dentist.
No, they take care of your teeth.
That's right. Well, maybe according to this guy, he wasn't taking such good care of them. We go to El Cajon, California. I don't know if you've ever been, but it's beautiful from what I hear.
I've never been. Where's that at? Is it like near San Diego?
No clue. I don't know.
Oh,
I just
okay.
figured I'd pay him a compliment. I don't know if very many people do, but just, you know.
I hear it's nice there.
I hear it's nice, yeah. A 28-year-old dentist was killed and 2 others were wounded when a former patient allegedly opened fire inside the office, then fled in a U-Haul van. Not the pick of most getaway cars.
That's an interesting one. Jumping in the U-Haul.
Yeah.
Getting away.
Yeah. Most of them have governors on them, Jess. They only top out at like 55 miles an hour.
I was going to say top speed. I was going to say 45. You're being gracious. But top speed 55.
Yeah. According to the El Cajon Police Department, who managed to get their cars up to 60, on February 29th at 4:14 p.m., officers responded to a shooting call at a dentist office on the 400 block of North Magnolia Avenue. Officers arrived within 2 minutes and located 2 adult males and 1 adult female suffering from gunshot wounds. One of the victims, Dr. Benjamin Haroni, died from his injuries at the scene. The other 2 victims were transported to a nearby hospital in serious but stable condition. The suspect, who police identified as 29-year-old Muhammad Abdul Karim, fled in a white U-Haul pickup truck. Following the shooting, investigators utilized license plate reader information and learned that Abdul Karim rented the truck in San Diego. So this must be in Southern California, like extreme Southern California.
Yeah, must be. Yeah, if you got the truck in San Diego.
Yeah. Police released a photo of the vehicle and alerted the public to be on the lookout. That night, just after 9 p.m., a vigilant citizen contacted the San Diego Police Department and said they believed they found the U-Haul near 6th Avenue and Quince Street. San Diego police officers responded to the area and found the truck was unoccupied, but then they located Abdul Karim nearby and took him into custody. He reportedly had a handgun and loaded magazines on him at the time of the arrest. El Cajon police said Abdul Karim legally purchased that gun about 2 weeks before the shooting. According to the San Diego District Attorney's Office, Abdul Karim allegedly used a semi-automatic handgun in the deadly shooting, firing 23 rounds in about 1 minute.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
No. Police said they were still investigating the motive, but Abdul Karim was believed to be a disgruntled former customer. Yikes. You got to be disgruntled to pop off 23 shots.
How do you get that mad at your dentist, though? I mean, honestly.
It's a lot of root canals, Jess. It's a lot of root canals. The district attorney's office announced that on Tuesday, March 5th, Abdul Karim was being charged with 1 count of murder, 2 counts of premeditated attempted murder with a gun, and great bodily injury allegations. According to the district attorney's office, Abdul Karim was well known at the office because he allegedly showed up multiple times over the last 6 months to complain about his dental work.
He really was mad about his teeth. I mean, I just can't even wrap my brain around getting that mad about my teeth.
Well, here's where that comes in. El Cajon police said there was no indication the attack was racially or politically motivated. They say Haroni was Jewish. The Anti-Defamation League's California Bureau released a statement following the shooting that also said there was no indication of the murder being motivated by anti-Semitism. Well, the guy came in complaining about his teeth. What's that got to do with anything?
Yeah, he just was a wackadoo, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, they're trying to tie it into anti-Semitism, but if you come in for 6 months complaining about your dental work, I think it's your dental work.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Not straight enough, not wide enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, A Pimp is Inspired by Dexter. We'll tell you the details about that. We'll tell you about why Kirk Cousins is in danger now that he's going to Alabama. God,
that makes me sad. I don't want to hear about that.
No, I hope he does. I hope he gets robbed. We'll talk about that story. I have a huge problem with Kirk Cousins. We might talk about it in the next segment.
About it.
Yeah, I'll espouse on Kirk Cousins for a moment. And the son of a notorious Irish mobster in New York is busted for slugging a dog walker.
What?
Yes, and it's on the same street in the same New York City that his same New York City neighborhood that his dad ruled at one time. That's
I am ready to hear about that one too.
Enforcement through dog walking, Jess. I don't know. And actually, two stories out of Georgia. We have a story so bizarre at the end of Ripped from the Headlines, you'll think it's a dumb crime, stupid criminal story. I'll just put it that way. It is such a bizarre murder plot, you can't believe it's true.
I can't wait.
That's right. That is the when we come back, a pimp plays Dexter and the craziest murder plot you've ever heard on Rip from the Headlines, right here on True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to True Crime Tuesday here on Darkness Radio. It's the best in true crime talk radio. I'm Tim Dennis. Right over there is Jessica Freeburg. And just before the break, we were telling you about a pimp that wanted to play Dexter. Now, I know that sounds like a punchline. And it sounds almost kind of ridiculous. But I have the story right here. A pimp that was inspired by Dexter is found guilty of fatally strangling his employee and dismembering her with a saw. Again with the dismembering.
What is happening tonight?
I don't know. A 36-year-old man has been convicted of killing and dismembering one of his employees in 2018 and covering up her death in an attempt to fraudulently obtain life insurance policies. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Eastern New York announced Monday, March 4th, that a jury found Corey Martin guilty of murder for hire conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy, aggravated identity theft, and fraudulent use of identification in a plot to kill 26-year-old Brandy Odom. Martin faces a mandatory sentence of life in prison. Martin lived in Queens with Odom and a co-conspirator who were both engaged in commercial sex work for the defendant, who operated as their pimp. According to the attorney's office, Martin and the co-conspirator illegally acquired 2 life insurance policies in the victim's name in March and December of 2017. They also used a debit card in Odom's name to make premium payments to the life insurance companies via Western Union money orders. Martin's co-conspirator testified in court and reportedly said that before killing Odom, the defendant viewed the crime show, The First 48, and they talked about what not to do and what things to do to avoid being caught by the police. Martin also allegedly watched the scripted serial killer drama Dexter because he was looking for ways to commit the crime when he got rid of Brandy.
He's doing a little homework.
I guess so. Do you think that trick works?
I don't think so. That's why we're talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. According to the attorney's office, Martin strangled the victim in her bedroom in early April of 2018 before he and the co-conspirator bought cleaning items and a vacuum at Green Acres Mall in Long Island to cover up the crime scene. On April 6th of 2018, Martin reportedly went onto Home Depot's website to search for a DeWalt 12-amp corded reciprocating saw.
Oh, no.
I think you're going to get caught at that one. Prosecutors said he also went online and searched YouTube for how to insert blade for reciprocating saw and using reciprocating saw that evening. According to the co-conspirator, Martin covered the bathroom in heavy-duty black trash bags before dismembering Odom's body in the bathtub with an electric saw. He later disposed of the woman's remains in Canarsie Park with the help of his co-conspirator in the early morning hours of April 8th and 9th of 2018. Martin searched for various online news articles on April 10th, including search area expands after dismembered body found in Canarsie Park in Brooklyn. Martin reportedly found a Twitter post that read, "Person walking dog discovers remains of woman in Brooklyn Park." And the next day he searched exclusive interview of mother of girl found in park on YouTube. Martin reportedly told his co-conspirator to claim the benefits under Odom's life insurance policy, and she tried several times with no success. So there you go.
He's a bad pimp.
I don't know how you get away with that.
You don't. And that's the most ridiculous part of all. Like, everything he's searching, we know about. I mean, I can't even talk about something without it now coming up, on my ads on my phone or my laptop. Yeah. Everything is tracked.
It is. Yeah, it is. So it just, I don't get how you get away with that. Especially the thing I just talked about wishing Kirk Cousins ill will when he goes to Atlanta. for people who don't know, who are just listening to the show today, Kirk Cousins, of course, takes a deal with Atlanta to go in free agency. By the way, this is highway robbery, Jess. This technically is a rip from the headlines crime, taking all that money from the Wilfs, the owners of the Minnesota Vikings, and then going down to Atlanta and doing the same, basically for nothing. There's a story that's been broken by NBC News about men who are getting abnormally tipsy, that's the quote, and then getting robbed in Atlanta's Buckhead district, which we can only hope happens to Kirk Cousins when he gets down there to celebrate his new contract. Just saying. Young men are telling NBC that they lost thousands of dollars after being drugged in bars in Atlanta's Buckhead district. Now, last month, a 24-year-old man from Peachtree, Georgia, revealed that he was drugged, kidnapped, and robbed during a night out in a bar in Atlanta's popular Buckhead district in the summer of 2022. Now, other men and other young men are also stepping forward to say that they had similar experiences at Buckhead watering holes, with incidents detailed from November of 2021 through February of 2024. NBC News says that it has talked with 6 men so far, as well as reviewed police reports from 2 others, with the alleged victims claiming that on the nights in question, they started feeling abnormally intoxicated while hanging out in various bars in Buckhead, including at the Five Paces Inn. After that, they say their cell phones were taken and thousands of dollars were transferred out of their bank accounts using mobile apps like Venmo, PayPal, and Zelle. That's not going to make those 3 organizations feel very good.
No, this isn't a good advertisement for them.
Right. Their credit cards were also used to make unauthorized purchases, they say. Other bars were named included 30, Johnny's Hideaway, and the Ivy Buckhead. Chandler Rebel, the young man from Peachtree City, says he was robbed of about $13,000 after a visit to Five Paces in August of 2022. He tells NBC that the last thing he recalls from that night is ordering a round of drinks with friends, then waking up in the back of a vehicle while being held down by a stranger. Yikes, that's incredibly scary.
It's like the new version of being shanghaied.
That's right. Yeah. I just remember everything was black in there, trying to scream, he notes. Rebel says he passed out again, then woke up hours later, vomiting blood in a gas station bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a few miles from the bar. Police reports seen by the Atlanta Black Star show nearly 6 such reported thefts at Five Paces over the past year. 6.
That's a lot.
Yeah. A couple of the men say that when they wake up, they were left with different phones and bank cards, possibly left as decoys, to stall their realization that they'd been robbed. Yikes. It's not clear how the victims' phones were allegedly hacked, though some of them speculate that hacking software was used, that the perps secretly watched them previously entering their passwords or coaxed it out of them while they were drugged, or even broke into their phones via Face ID by using the victims' faces while they were unconscious. 6 men have reported their cases to the authorities, and those cases remain open. That, according to a police spokesperson, telling that to NBC News. It's quite alarming. You know, there was a epidemic here in the Twin Cities of people getting their phones snatched and then using Face ID to break into the phone. I know that.
Yeah.
And then what they would do is they would grab the phone after someone had accessed it with Face ID, and then while they had the phone open for the short amount of time, they would drain the wallet of whatever was in there, or drain the phone of whatever was in there and access to the bank accounts and credit cards.
That's kind of scary because you have like everything on your phone now.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
You don't even have to have a wallet. You can just use your phone to pay for stuff because it's all linked in there.
That's right. That's right. And it's being encouraged, at least digital currency is being encouraged over cash nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you carry any cash on you whatsoever?
Not usually. I mean, rarely ever. And it's usually just a few dollars. Like it's never more than like $20.
Yeah. See, I get crap from a lot of people because I carry some cash on me. And they're like, why do you carry cash on you? And I'm like, because you never know. I'm that old man that carries cash on me wherever I go, because you never know.
You probably have a jar buried in your backyard somewhere with all your money, your savings.
Well, there's a reason my pants sag. I keep it in my back pocket. I'm just saying. Yeah. So, yeah, but I just, I don't know. I just knew when the digital age came that you'd still need some cash on you for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of scary when you think about it too. Like, was it last week when AT&T users were without cell phone power for a period of time?
Yep.
And that is debilitating. I mean, honestly, we rely so much on that. We don't have home phones anymore that we could call out. I mean, we don't at our house anyway. And it sounds like they're kind of getting away from that. Like pretty soon there won't even be service available for phones in your house. But we're just so reliant on technology that if you're ever going to do something to really debilitate a nation or a group of people, it would be take away their cell phone for a bit.
AT&T started hammering, that's why you need a landline, when the cell phone service went down. And that's when Xfinity started hammering on it again, and everybody started hammering, that's why you need a landline, that's why you need a landline. But let's face it, most landlines these days are operated VoIPs, voice over IP. So there's no real, I mean, there's very few hardwired analog lines anymore.
Yeah, they're not really going through the telephone wires like they used to, right? They're going through cyberspace just like a cell phone is.
Most of them are digital connections, and they do travel through analog wires, but there's a digital connection and a digital switch. So, I mean, there's still a digital connection there that can be taken down. It can be taken down by satellite.
Yeah, I don't like it. That's scary. It's almost as scary as zombies.
I kind of laugh at zombies because, the chances of a zombie happening are very, very slim.
I don't know why that's legitimately the only thing that actually scares me, the idea of a zombie.
See, AI taking over the world scares me more. AI becoming our masters scares me more than anything else.
Yeah, that's a new fear. Thank you for giving that to me. Now I'm scared of that too.
Not a problem.
I hadn't thought about it before, but now I'm scared.
There's a story tomorrow that'll curl your hair there, sister.
Oh, I don't even want to hear it.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. It came up today while I was searching for other stuff. So there you go. Let's move on. I got this actually from one of our listeners. By the way, if you have a story for either Ripped from the Headlines or Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals, you can email me, tim@darknessradio.com. It's greatly appreciated. A mother has reported that her son was missing in March, and police kept the truth from her for months. I mean, March of last year, I believe is what this story means. Betterson Wade's search for her adult son ended when she discovered that an officer had run him over, Jess. And without telling her, authorities buried him in a pauper's field.
What?
Yeah. What's interesting is when the listener emailed me this story comes from Jackson, Mississippi. When the listener emailed me this, he said, I don't know if this is a Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals story or a Rip from the Headlines story. I said, I thought to myself, this is a Rip from the Headlines story.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll kind of sum this article up because there's a lot to it, but we go to Jackson, Mississippi, where 7 months of searching for her lost son brought Betterston Wade to a dirt road leading into the woods past an empty horse stable and a scrapyard. The last time she'd seen her middle child, 37-year-old Dexter Wade, was on the night of March 5th as he left home with a friend. She reported him missing, and Jackson police told her they'd been unable to find him, she said. It wasn't until 172 excruciating days after his disappearance that Betterston learned the truth. Dexter had been killed less than an hour after he'd left home, struck by a Jackson police car as he crossed a nearby interstate highway. Police had known Dexter's name and hers, but failed to contact her, instead letting his body go unclaimed for months in the county morgue. Now it was early October, and Betterston had finally been told where she could find her son. She pulled up to the gates of the Hinds County Penal Farm. Her sister in the passenger seat. A sheriff's deputy and two jumpsuited inmates in a pickup told her to follow them. They bounced down the road and curved into the woods, crawling past clearings where rows of small signs jutted from the earth, each marked with a number. "Girl, look at this," 65-year-old Betterston told her sister. "Would you believe they would bury someone out here?" The caravan came to the end of the road, at another clearing with more markers. The deputy took one of Betterston's hands, her daughter the other, and they walked to the mounds of loosely packed dirt. They stopped at grave number 672. "Really?" Betterston said. She bent over, hands on her knees. She cried out, her voice echoing off the surrounding trees. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." Growing up in Jackson, Dexter was a sweet little boy, sharp with computers, a leader among his classmates, a lover of nice clothes, a dreamer who hoped one day to run his own business refurbishing old cars. That went awry in his teens when he got lost under the influence of older men who stole cars and did drugs. Betterston said that to NBC News. A single mother of 3 who worked at night, Betterston said she wasn't always around for Dexter, but she always bailed him out of jail and he always returned home. Although Dexter's boyhood aspirations did not come true, he and a girlfriend, Candace Thomas, had 2 daughters who remained a bright spot for him, even after the couple's romantic relationship dissolved. Even after Dexter served 2 stints in prison, one for attempted auto theft and the other for armed robbery, according to the Mississippi Department of Corrections, he was released in 2017. When he got out, Dexter remained friends with Thomas and was a committed father, she said. Although Thomas had full legal custody, Dexter talked to his daughters often and visited them in Gulfport, about 3 hours away. During the summers, they came to stay with him at Betterston's home in Jackson. He was sweet and loving, especially when it came to his kids, Thomas said. But prison had clearly damaged him. You could look in his eyes and see he wasn't the same person, Thomas said. I could tell he was struggling mentally. Dexter was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, Betterston said. After starting medication, he decreased his illegal drug intake and stayed at home most of the day, cleaning and taking care of the yard. He liked to give homemade ice pops to kids on their street, handed food to people who didn't have homes, and occasionally sold sodas and chips to the neighborhood. He rarely left the house for more than a day or 2 without calling, Betterston said. He never showed signs of wanting to hurt himself. He didn't seem like he was in a bad place, Betterston said, but I don't know what happened on that particular day. On March 5th, Betterston, a retired Nissan line technician who worked part-time as a home health aide, returned home and found one of her windows broken. She and Dexter argued about it, and around 7:30 p.m., he left with a friend. Days passed without a word, and on March 14th, Betterston called the Jackson Police Department to report him missing. The decision to call the police was difficult for Betterston. She did not trust them. In 2019, her 62-year-old brother died after a Jackson officer slammed him to the ground. The officer was convicted of manslaughter, but is appealing. Her family filed a wrongful death lawsuit accusing Jackson officers of excessive force and attempting to cover up their actions, and accusing the city of failing to properly train and supervise the officers. The city has denied the claims and said it isn't liable for what happened. The officer's lawyer said they acted responsibly and lawfully. A federal judge dismissed some of Betterston's claims. Others remain pending in state court. Betterston said her mother advised her not to call the police about Dexter. My mama told me they're not going to do anything, Betterston recalled, but I had to do something to find Dexter, and I thought this was the best way. An investigator came to Betterston's home and took a statement, she said. She emailed the investigator a picture of Dexter. He left a card with a case number on it. 2 days later, she emailed a different investigator for another photo of her son. The original investigator filed an incident report that misspelled Dexter's name as Dester, D-E-S-T-E-R. Betterston said she kept in regular touch with the police, asking for updates and requesting that they put his picture on TV. She did her own search, checking out abandoned homes and driving around her neighborhood, asking if anyone had seen him. She never found the friend who left home with him, however. Dexter's teen daughters and their mother grew frantic, calling Betterston for news. The girls would ask, "Did you hear from my daddy?" Thomas said, "We just kept praying he was all right." Carrie Banks, a close friend of Betterston's, accompanied her on searches of the neighborhood and watched as stress and desperation wore on her. She called someone every week and asked about her child, Banks said. She couldn't get it off her mind. She was crazy about that boy. Each time she called, police told her they had no information. It turned out that the Jackson Police Department had all the answers all along. The department did not respond to detailed questions and has not commented on or explained how it handled Dexter's death. After this article was published, a spokesperson for Jackson Mayor, I believe this is Chokwe Antar Lumumba, emailed a statement to NBC News offering our sincerest prayers and condolences to Dexter's family. The spokesperson, Melissa Faith Payne, added in an interview that police did not intentionally harm Dexter or his family. There was a miscommunication, but there was no malicious intent anywhere in this whole situation, Payne said. This account has been pieced together with interviews with Dexter's family and a coroner's investigator, along with court records and documents provided in response to public records requests, a crash report, incident reports, and coroner's office records. Betterston also shared personal notes, emails, Dexter's death certificates, a coroner's report, and case information cards provided by police to her. Those materials show that just before 8 p.m. on March 5th, Dexter was walking across Interstate 55, which is a 6-lane highway, when a Jackson police SUV driven by an off-duty corporal struck him in the southbound lanes. The corporal who alerted police to the collision was not injured. He was not suspected of being under the influence of drugs or alcohol and was not given field sobriety tests, nor was he cited for any traffic violations. The death was ruled accidental. Dexter suffered severe injuries, including to his head. A toxicology report later noted that Dexter had PCP and methamphetamine in his system. An investigator from the Hinds County Coroner's Office responded to the scene. He did not find identification on Dexter while examining him, but found a bottle of prescription medication in his pocket with his name on it. 3 days later, on March 8th, the investigator, LeGrand Elliott, contacted the medical facility that provided the prescription and received Betterston's name as Dexter's next of kin, according to Elliott's case notes. Elliott said he called the number listed for Betterston in the facility's records and left a voicemail but got no response. Betterston confirmed that the number Elliott said he called was correct, but she doesn't remember receiving a call from him and was not able to access her Boost mobile phone records to check. Elliott confirmed Dexter's identification on March 9th when the state crime lab said his fingerprints matched those that it had on file for him, according to his notes. Elliott said in an interview that he passed what he had found, a phone number and an address, to the Jackson Police Department's Accident Investigation Squad so they could notify Betterston of Dexter's death. Once we get that information, I turn it over to the police because it is their jurisdiction so that they can do the proper death notification, Elliott said. Betterston, meanwhile, turned to Facebook where she posted pictures of Dexter with her phone number, pleading for him or anyone who saw him to call. On March 15th, the day after Betterston reported Dexter missing, Elliott followed up with Jackson police for updates. No kin has been located as of yet, he wrote in his notes. Elliott made another follow-up call on March 30th and was told there was nothing new. The following day, the coroner's office asked the Hinds County Board of Supervisors for approval to bury Dexter's remains in a pauper's field at the Hinds County Penal Farm. As that request was being filed, Betterston posted another photo of Dexter on Facebook. Has anyone seen my son? Please call his mother. The Board of Supervisors approved the coroner's burial request on April 3rd. 4 days later, Elliott called Jackson Police again. No new updates, he wrote in his notes. On May 7th, Betterston posted on Facebook, Dexter, if you out there, your kids miss you and your family miss you. We love you. We always love you. 2 days after that, Elliott called the police again for an update and was told there was none, according to his notes. He tried one last time in June and got the same response. June 18th was Father's Day. On Facebook, Betterston pleaded to Dexter directly. I'm trying to find you, but no one knows what happens to you. I wish someone would have saw you. I love you very much. Please come home. On July 14th, with no one claiming Dexter's body, the county buried him in a field at its penal farm among other unclaimed bodies. Betterston's still searching. Dexter, your kids miss you. I miss you, and your grandma, sister, auntie, cuz, friends miss you, she wrote on Facebook on July 16th. You don't have to come home. Just let us know you're all right. We love you. Through the rest of July, Betterston said she called missing persons investigators and got no news. The lead investigator told her he was retiring at the end of the month, and a new investigator called her August 13th to say she was taking over the case. Less than 2 weeks later, on August 24th, a new investigator called to tell her she'd found Dexter and that an officer would come to see her in person. When she said that, I knew he was dead, Betterston said.
That's so sad.
It took 2 weeks for a new investigator to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, you hate to think of the police covering something up, but that is pretty wild that they had his name, they had her name, and they made one attempt to call her. Like, shouldn't they have just gone to her house and knocked on the door or something?
Betterston just says in response to all this, she wondered if it had anything to do with her brother's death and her allegations against the police in that case. She says maybe it was a vendetta. Maybe they buried my son to get back at me.
Oh, I hate that story. That's so sad.
Yeah.
It's a good story that one of our listeners sent. I appreciate they sent it, but boy, that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Let's switch gears here, Jess. Let's talk about the son of a notorious Irish mobster, Mickey Spillane, who was busted for slugging a dog walker in the same New York City neighborhood his dad ruled.
All right. I feel like we can laugh at this one.
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. It's a dog walker. What did the dog walker ever do?
Yeah, no kidding.
The son of a notorious Manhattan mobster, Mickey Spillane, landed in court Monday for allegedly taking a whack at a dog walker in Hell's Kitchen, which is the same area his dad controlled in the 1970s. Michael J. Spillane Jr., who's all of 60 years old. Well, he's a youngin'. You can't blame him. He has a hot temper.
Baby.
He's just a baby. Got his Irish up and then allegedly punched the stranger in the face outside Mediterranean wine bar Cashcaval Garden at around 7:30 p.m. on February 21st, according to a criminal complaint. Spillane, who owns Mickey Spillane's, a bar named after his dad about 6 blocks south on 9th Avenue, pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor counts of assault and harassment and was released after his Manhattan criminal court arraignment. His ties to the neighborhood date back to decades when his father ruled Hell's Kitchen as the head of the Irish-American mob in the 60s and 70s. Last known as the gentleman ganger, Mickey was a quick riser in the loan sharking scene who opposed dealing drugs and was adamant about not associating with the Italian mafia. After he was pushed out of Hell's Kitchen by the Westies, a more vicious rival Irish gang, Mickey was murdered outside his Woodside, Queens home in 1977, shot 5 times in the head in what cops said was a gangland assassination. He was married to Maureen McManus, a daughter of the famed local political dynasty who ran the city's Tammany Hall Democratic Party for decades, which Michael Jr. led as district leader. My dad was a serious man back when he was in business. He worked with a lot of labor unions, and they controlled most of the docks, Spillane said in his 2016 interview with the website. Then the Italian branch of the mob tried to dominate everything. And if it wasn't for men like my dad, there would be no Irish unions, he went on to say. The Irish-American mob son's beef with the dog walker is said to have started when the man encountered Spillane and a group of people standing outside the restaurant, creating a bottleneck. He asked the group to make a path for him and his 2 dogs to get through, and most of them did, except for Spillane, who allegedly stuck his foot out and tried to trip the dog walker, according to a source in the victim's camp. Some kids. Spillane was allegedly aggressive and looked at the dog walker menacingly, a source said. The man went to grab Spillane, who then allegedly laid a closed-fist haymaker to his face. That, according to the source. The dog walker was also arrested and hit with the same charges He suffered swelling and bruising from the punch and a laceration to his neck, according to the complaint against Spillane. Spillane, who doesn't have a rap sheet, was spotted flipping through a wad of $100 bills as he stood next to his attorney, Eugene Byrne, shortly after the arraignment. He's due back in court on April 29th. By the way, his actor brother, Bobby Spillane, has appeared in shows Rescue Me and Law and Order. He tragically died when he leaned against his window screen and fell from his sixth-floor apartment on 8th Avenue in 2010.
What?
Yeah.
I'm Googling that now.
Yeah. It's
This was like a really good, like, mobster movie-esque thing going on up until he tried to trip the dog walker.
Yeah. It was kind of rough and tumble and, kind of a badass attitude until he tripped the dog walker and then punched him.
And then he stuck his foot out to trip the dog walker.
Yeah. Then he was just a weenie, I want to tell you, let's stick to the New York theme here, Jess. I want to tell you about another criminal of the worst kind. A landlord taking advantage of his tenants and not giving them anything in return. In fact, making them live in squalor.
Sounds like a college town situation.
Oh, he's the worst of the worst, though, Jess. Here's the deal. He is New York City's worst landlord, and he's wanted for arrest. Over 700 open violations for this guy, including mold, roaches, and lead paint in his buildings.
Oh, no.
And it has to be bad if New York City wants him on these violations.
Yeah, roaches are just like part of the apartment deal, right? You just sign those right into the lease.
Pretty much, yeah. You just saddle one up and ride it to work. I mean, let me do one of those. Peeling lead paint, roach infestations, blinking electricity, and mold. These are some of the most dangerous conditions that Daniel Ohebshalom, the Big Apple's worst landlord, has allegedly ignored in 2 of his Washington Heights apartment buildings. That, according to city housing officials. The nearly 700 open violations between the buildings at 705 and 709 170th Street earned Oheb Shalom an open arrest warrant, a 2-month vacation at Rikers Island, and fines of more than $3 million. $3 million.
That's a lot. But it sounds like he deserves it.
Why didn't he just fix the building for that?
That'd have been a lot cheaper, I think, at the end of the day.
Yeah. The worst landlord in New York City is Daniel Oheb Shalom. Commissioner Adolfo Carrion Jr. of the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development said at a press conference in front of City Hall, the reason we're after this guy and his practices is because of the life that people have been living there, and it's horrible, he continued. People are dealing with mold, leaks, pests, rats, and roaches, peeling paint, lead paint. Their children are exposed, seniors are exposed, and it's time to stop this nonsense, Carrion added. Or it could be Carrion. I think it's Carrion, Adolfo Carrion. The violations cited in Oheb Shalom's warrant extensive and include serious, immediately hazardous conditions that threaten not only the residents' quality of life, but their health and safety, HPD said in a press release. The warrant lets the New York City Sheriff's Department cooperate with California enforcement teams that operate in the Golden State, where Oheb Shalom lives. So they can't even get him because he's not in state.
Oh, man.
We're drop dead serious about this work. If you abuse New Yorkers in the places where they live and you don't take care of their homes as property owner, we're coming after you, Carrion said. Some apartment dwellers told the New York Post on Monday that they were thrilled to hear it. It's been long overdue, said Sonia Peralta, who's a 73-year-old woman who's lived in 705 for the last 44 years. She's taken it for 44 years.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
He should have been arrested a long, long time ago, she continued, before launching into a litany of complaints about the building that she said Oheb Shalom has never addressed. Her bathroom ceiling fell 2 years ago, and workers patched it up with what she called half-assed work. Can you imagine that? Your bathroom ceiling falling in?
No, what caused that? I'm really concerned about the mold situation. That freaks me out.
It could be a mold that made it fall in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's like wet and falls in.
Mm-hmm. It could be mold and mildew. Her walls are covered in soot from the broken down boiler. The heat and hot water constantly fail, and rats and roaches have turned the building into a mini motel, she said. Ew, so they're just living there.
And rats in New York, they're like the size of cats.
Oh, yes. Yep. The lobby door was also broken for 2 years, letting homeless people wander onto the roof and shoot up, she added. So they're just up there doing drugs. We wanted to be treated like human beings, and not at our age. We shouldn't be having to go through this, she said. We hope he goes to jail for all the suffering we've gone through. We wanted to see him in jail for a long time. The housing agency first took action in 2021 after its anti-harassment unit inspected and investigated the Washington Heights buildings, the statement said. Last January, the HPD moved both buildings to its alternate enforcement program, which helps it enforce rules and hold owners accountable so it could make emergency repairs and address long-standing issues, according to the release. It assessed more than $48,000 in fees against the property as the AEP did emergency work to fix leaks, remove mold, and install self-closing doors. But Oheb Shalom failed to comply, leading to more litigation that included the housing agency's request for contempt, jail time, and civil penalties. A housing court agreed, saying the landlord was in criminal and civil contempt of several court orders, consent orders, and interim agreements. It also signed off on more than $3 million in penalties, saying the sheer volume of extant hazardous and immediate hazardous violations bespeaks the extent of Oheb Shalom's contempt. We're using Oheb Shalom as an example, Carrion said to reporters, noting the city has a long list of alleged slumlords. We're coming after other folks. We're not going to let you get away with this nonsense. Well, a judge first held Oheb Shalom, who defied court orders for more than a year, in civil contempt back in January of 2023. He hails from a well-known family of slumlords who have invited legal trouble with their savage practices. This is very unfortunate that a family like this, that's doing residential real estate in New York City, is abusing New Yorkers, Carrion said. And now the second generation does this. Obviously, this family doesn't care about fellow New Yorkers. We're all responsible for our neighbors, he continued. Sadly, these clowns don't care about their neighbors. This is a judge saying this.
Clown.
Carrion said it's relatively rare for a landlord to go to jail, but every few years, the city catches up with an exceptionally bad one. HPD is also pursuing legal action against Oheb Shalom for squalid conditions in several other buildings, according to the release. This is the worst guy, Carrion said. I mean, he's got a giant portfolio of residential developments around the city, and he has abused these residents consistently. I mean, there's a list of other things in here that are just horrid.
Wild. His punishment should be that he has to live in one of his own apartments.
Yes.
For 40 years, like that lady did.
Yeah, the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the worst apartment you can find. Yeah, I agree. It's just horrible. It's horrible. One of the final quotes here, the reality is what's going to happen, said a 48-year-old man, Edward Lennis, who has lived in the building his entire life. The guy's in California, is a multi-millionaire, a big-time political donor. Is anything going to happen to him? I don't know, he says. I think, yeah, something's going to happen to him. Eventually, they'll ask California to extradite him. They'll go arrest him.
I hope so.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen to him. They'll go arrest him and they'll come get him. Finally, on Ripped from the Headlines today, Jessica, the most outrageous murder plot you could ever think of. And this is going to lead us right into Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. We'll pause for our theme and then we'll go right into it, because you can't believe what this actual plot is.
All right, I'm ready for it.
We're going back to Georgia, where two Georgia men indicted on charges of setting off a bomb at a woman's home and then plotting to release a python to eat her daughter.
What?
I told you, you'll never believe this.
Oh man.
Here's the story. 2 Georgia men have been federally indicted in connection with a sinister plot they allegedly hatched last year to release a python to devour the daughter of one of their exes. 37-year-old Stephen Glosser and 34-year-old Caleb Kinsey of Richmond Hill were arrested in February of 2023 on charges of setting off a homemade bomb at the home of a woman with whom one of them had a previous relationship. On Thursday, they were indicted on multiple federal charges related to the bombing and their alleged plot, which included mailing dog feces to the ex's home, releasing a snake in her residence, and scalping her.
What movies were they watching while they were coming up with this and smoking crack?
Right? They had plotted to acquire and release a large python into the victim's home to eat the victim's daughter, according to the release.
They were watching Anaconda.
Yeah, that's right. That was one of them. The men face charges that include stalking, conspiracy to use an explosive to commit a felony, use of an explosive to commit another felony offense, and possession of an unregistered device. Kinsey was further charged with false statement during the purchase of a firearm and possession of firearms by a convicted felon. The men had the victim under surveillance from December of 2022 to January of 2023 with the intent to kill, injure, harass, or intimidate, prosecutors said in a news release. They conspired to shoot arrows into the victim's front door, mail dog feces or dead rats to the victim's home, scalp her, and blow up her home. Isn't that insane?
It's a lot. It's a whole lot going on in that plot.
My guess is the 2 men don't have jobs.
They're lacking a few things, Tim. Common sense is one.
Yeah, that's true. Glosser located the victim's home using internet searches and mapped out a path to her residence, prosecutors said. Kinsey then allegedly acquired and built an explosive device at Glosser's home using tannerite, which he purportedly purchased online. Then the 2 used it to blow up the victim's home on January 13th of 2023. The only thing they accomplished besides full-time work. On that day, Bryan County Emergency Services responded to a report of an explosion at a residential structure on Demyries Lake Court in Richmond Hill at 5 a.m. Georgia's Officer of Commissioner of Insurance and Safety Fire said in a release. A multi-agency investigation found the cause of the explosion was an IED comprised of a binary explosive compound. No one was injured in the explosion, thank God. WTOC of Savannah reported at the time. The agency announced Glosser and Kinsey were arrested in connection with the explosion. Kinsey had fled the state and was arrested in Louisiana. Glosser was arrested locally. Bryan County Sheriff Mark Crow previously described the attack as sinister. He told WJCL-TV of Savannah that a woman and child had moved into the residence a day before the explosion. One of the suspects had a prior relationship with the woman. Glosser and Kinsey are in custody, awaiting further court proceedings. The docket of the federal case did not list lawyers for the men, probably because most lawyers are too smart to represent these 2.
That, and if they are, they don't want their names associated. Do not tell my friends.
That's right. Prosecutors said that if convicted, the conspiracy charge carries a statutory penalty of up to 20 years in prison. And the charge of using an explosive to commit a felony carries a penalty of an estimated additional 10 years. The release noted, given these are federal charges, the men won't be eligible for parole. Thank goodness.
Keep them behind bars.
That's right. And away from any weapons. With that, it's time now for us to lighten things up a little bit, if we can. And
yes, please.
And it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News Story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time you've all been looking forward to, the time once again where we lighten things up a bit. It's time for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And Jess, we've introduced you once already, so we'll skip the formalities.
Still me.
And tell you that today's episode, remind you once again, is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Again, Surfshark VPN. And to get that deal, it's real simple. To get your Surfshark today, totally risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee, and to get 3 extra months for free, enter the promo code DARKNESS at surfshark.deals/darkness. Once again, surfshark.deals/darkness. So, Jess, for this first story, we're going to go to Florida. Of course, we got to start it out with not Florida man, but Florida woman in this case. A missing Florida woman. And by the way, thank you to our listeners who have come through in spades this week.
Is this another one from a listener?
Yes, another one from a listener.
Awesome.
And by the way, if you have stories for us, again, tim@darknessradio.com. Just send them to tim@darknessradio.com. We'll be glad to get it on the air. Guys like Tony and Jim and let's see who else sent them. Tom sent in a story this week. A lot of you sent in stories this week. I want to just thank you so much for sending in stories. Missing Florida woman found banging on the door of a shipping container she was locked in.
Locked in a shipping container.
Yes. Luckily, the 52-year-old woman was not injured, but was taken to the hospital for evaluation. We go to Cocoa, Florida, where Marlene Lopez's family last saw her on Monday, March 4th at her home on Lucerne Drive in Cocoa, according to police. It wasn't until Wednesday that a concerned coworker reported her missing when she didn't show up to pick up her son. After speaking to family members, checking known locations, and posting a missing persons bulletin, Cocoa police received a call that Lopez was found in an unlikely place, a shipping container next to a local business.
Locked in a shipping container.
Yep.
I kind of want a shipping container for a pool. Have you seen that before? They can take them and turn them into like really cool kind of pools. But I never thought of making one, the place I'm going to store someone that I'm hiding.
They turn them into pools, or they turn them into pool houses?
Yes, they turn them into pools.
Like
they're awesome.
Like somebody
Google
digs
it.
a hole in the ground and turns it into a pool?
The shipping container.
They make it an above ground pool.
Yeah. Well, you can put it in the ground too. Some of them are in the ground, or you can put it above ground.
So
I want one.
You rent a shipping container and make it a pool.
You buy it.
Oh,
it's cheaper than a regular pool.
Okay.
Seriously? I mean, it's still like $80,000 or something crazy like that,
but it holds water.
Yeah. They're awesome.
That is crazy.
So that's all I can think about. Like, I want to swim in a shipping container. I wouldn't want to be locked in one per se.
So you just, not that they're advertising on the program, but you just go to Pods, you get yourself a pod, and you put it in the ground.
Yeah, I think Mod Pools is one of them that I follow on Instagram because I just think they're so cool looking.
Seriously.
Yeah, I don't know why I want one.
You just learned me something today, Jess.
I'm here for you.
I didn't know that was a thing. Now I kind of want one too.
I know, we should both get one. Matching.
How do you put the filters in, though, to circulate the water?
Oh, they build it up. I don't know. And they can even put windows in the side. So if you do have it above ground, you can have like this big plexiglass side where you can like look out.
Vanity windows, huh?
Yeah, like nobody really wants to see that if I'm in there swimming, but
If you're taking the skinny dip, is that what you're saying?
if I was a mermaid, maybe a mermaid, in a mermaid costume or something.
So you put a mermaid tail on, and then you go for a swim, and people can watch the mermaid.
I got to
swim?
pay for my kids' college somehow, Tim.
I guess so. Well, we'll start taking orders for mermaid photos for you, Jess, and then yeah.
Anyway, I really took this to a different place.
I guess you did, yeah.
Shipping container.
Yeah, shipping containers. She had been banging on the door of the shipping container when someone heard her and unlocked the door, according to police. Lopez was not injured, but taken to the hospital for evaluation and possible dehydration. It's still unclear how she ended up in the shipping container in the first place. My guess she was going for a swim.
She was swimming.
Yeah. The owner of the shipping container, Tyler Sonnenberg, told news station WKMG that the container was stocked with lawnmowers. My guess she wanted a free lawnmower.
I think she might have been, yeah, trying to get a free lawnmower.
Yeah. Sonnenberg reportedly saw Lopez walking around the area on Monday. He told the news station that he locked up the shipping container on Tuesday afternoon, but didn't hear anyone inside. Sonnenberg also claims he found a lighter and pipe inside the container after Lopez left.
Oh, no.
Yeah, adding that he thinks she wandered inside by herself and passed out. The Cocoa
That sounds possible.
You think the job is going to drug test?
They might want to.
Yeah. The Cocoa Police Department is continuing to investigate how Lopez ended up inside the shipping container. Pipe and lighter. Yeah, I think I know. I just think I know. Let's move on.
Get the math. 2 and 2 makes 4.
Yeah. 2 and 2 makes on the floor, if you know what I mean. Yep. An upset Wisconsin inmate breaks a jail sprinkler and causes over $1,000 in damage. We got this as well from one of our listeners.
All right.
Yeah. 32-year-old Charles Virgil was upset over not being released before he lashed out, causing $1,500 in damage inside the jail.
Yikes.
Yeah, you're not getting out. I don't know what part of you're not getting out.
I wonder if I just really wreak havoc if they'll just let me out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, that's a very bad idea. The only problem is we have to join Fox News for access to this content. So.
Oh.
Yeah. I can tell you this much. The inmate in a Wisconsin County jail was accused of breaking the sprinkler system in a cell and caused $1,500 in damage. So no idea how he's going to work that off. My guess is breaking rocks.
Maybe so. Yeah. Take that aggression out on some rocks.
Yeah. But that's all you're getting of that story. So there you go. Because I'm not joining.
You're not paying the fee, huh?
Nope. I'm not a big joiner if you're going to ask money out of me. Sorry. We don't make that much on the show. Just saying. Let's move on. A collegian is facing prison for a Visine prank. By the way, we've said this on the show before, Jess. Never put Visine in anybody's food. Or,
really?
Oh, God, it can kill you.
Seriously?
Too much of it can kill you. I mean, people sometimes put a drop or two in someone's food to make them, kind of shit themselves. That's the prank, right?
Oh, no. Is that what they did?
Yeah, and because it was a stunt in Wedding Crashers.
Oh, I do remember that now that you say that.
Yeah. And, of course, we're going back to Wisconsin. I don't want to say they're not bright in Wisconsin, Jess, but evidently in college they think it's a funny thing, so they decide to try it.
Well, when you're in college.
Yeah. Inspired by the scene in Wedding Crashers, a Wisconsin college student repeatedly placed Visine eye drops in a water bottle used by her roommate, who was sickened by the tainted liquid. Again.
Oh, no.
Bad form. 22-year-old Luciana Reichel was charged last month with a felony count of placing foreign objects in edibles, which I thought is what you were supposed to do. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's the dispensary talking. Reichel is scheduled for an initial circuit court appearance on March 7th. According to the criminal complaint, on numerous occasions late last year, Reichel placed Visine in a quart-sized water bottle used by Brianna Charapata, her 20-year-old roommate at a University of Wisconsin Oshkosh dorm. As a result of ingesting the tainted water, Charapata told cops she began feeling nauseated, suffering from diarrhea, loss of appetite, and was otherwise very tired for no apparent reason. I think somebody's Visining my food.
I was going to say that describes my daily existence.
Yeah. Charapata, who said that the doctor was unable to explain the cause of her symptoms, recalled having to leave an October 18th marketing exam where she suddenly became ill. Reichel's Visine scheme ended after she told another student about the prank, and that classmate, Laura Gallus, informed Charapata. Gallus told the police that Reichel laughed when describing the Visine stunt because the eye drops had been making Charapata sick, After seeing this, Gallus added, Reichel said she decided to add more to her water bottle a few days later. The same results happened. When confronted by cops, Reichel reportedly confessed to the Visine stunt, claiming she got the idea from watching the movie The Wedding Crashers, where an actor in the movie put eye drops in someone's drink, and it made that person sick. In the 2005 comedy, actor Owen Wilson's character places eye drops in the wine of a rival, played by Bradley Cooper, who becomes violently ill. If convicted on the tampering charge, Reichel, once a star swimmer on the university swim team, faces a maximum of 3.5 years in prison.
Holy cow.
Yeah, they don't take that lightly.
That's crazy. They should have stuck to the pranks like putting saran wrap over the toilets and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Now
easier.
that's funny.
That is funny. Yeah. and not jailable. Funny enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does make people a little mad at you, speaking from personal experience. But, you know, when it's April Fool's, you got to do what you got to do.
That's true. And that's coming up, you know.
I'm ready for it. It's my favorite holiday.
Is it?
Well, besides Halloween.
Well, I know who
Yeah, did I ever tell you about the time I pranked my daughter? This is a little bit of a long story, so you can stop me if you don't want to hear it. But it's pretty funny.
Go ahead. Tell us.
My youngest loves April Fools, and she wants to be pranked. Like, she begs to be pranked. So I changed the contact in my phone for the pet place where we get the dog's haircut.
Okay.
And to my daughter's phone number. So it came up as the pet place. And I had her text me when we were going to pick up the dogs. And I had my daughter read it, my older daughter read it. And it said, "Oh, we're so sorry. We sent Phoebe home with the wrong family. We're working to resolve the issue." And I felt so bad because, I mean, I got her so good, but she just started howling, "My baby." I was like, well, you wanted to be pranked. So in my defense, it was a good one, though.
You are too much.
I didn't go to jail for it.
No.
It's probably bad parenting.
No, it's not bad parenting at all. You know, I'm a believer that kids every once in a while just need the bejesus scared out of them.
I think so.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Builds character.
That's right. Grows hair on your chest. Exactly. It just, it builds a healthy character, Absolutely.
Yeah. Got to be able to laugh about stuff. And
that's right.
Later, not in the moment when you're sobbing and crying because you think someone took your favorite dog home.
Right. You got to give the therapist something to laugh about when you're spilling your guts. I mean, it's just...
That's what I say. Just add it to the list of things I have to pay for therapy for.
That's right. That's right. All right. Let's move on. Your poor children. Let's talk about a man wearing a crown of thorns and carrying a piñata. Sounds like
interesting.
Sounds like an interesting cat, right? Except for he's getting in trouble, Jess.
Uh-oh.
And that means only one thing. We're going to Florida.
Of course we are.
Where that man carrying a crown of thorns he's wearing a crown of thorns and carrying a piñata because even Jesus needs to whack something every once in a while. I don't know what that means.
No.
Because even Jesus wasn't
not.
Because even Jesus wasn't nonviolent. I don't know what that means, Jess.
I don't know. I'm just over here doing a lot of Hail Marys for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Signs of the cross everywhere right now.
Thank you for praying for my immortal soul, my mortal soul. It's not immortal. I'm going to hell. A man wearing a crown of thorns and carrying a piñata menaced an elderly woman as she walked to work on March 6th.
He menaced her?
He menaced her. What did he do? Did he yell, "You're going to hell, whack! You're going to hell, whack!" I mean, how do you menace a poor old woman with a crown of thorns and a piñata?
I don't know, but I don't know. I've got a lot of thoughts in my head right now. Visuals.
I say we read out. By the way, this is this guy's mugshot. If you can see it, can you see what he?
I can. Oh. Oh my gosh.
I know. I think I'm going to post this. I'm going to post this story in the description of this podcast so people can see what this guy's face looks like.
This is hysterical. This is the funniest thing I've seen all day.
Oh, all right. Now you'll know why we're laughing, folks. All right. So, and all it's going to say in the description is you'll know why Tim and Jessica are laughing. Click here. There you go. So, guy's wearing a crown of thorns. He's carrying a piñata. He's menacing an elderly woman as she's walking to work. Florida cops say the suspect was denied accosting the victim and claimed he was only singing and dancing to his leprechaun song.
Oh, well,
Jessica.
of course he was. I mean, just look at him. Obviously a leprechaun.
As alleged in an arrest report, 74-year-old realtor Ruth Bullard called 911 to report that a man approached her and began screaming at the top of his lungs a series of horrible profanities. Maybe he thinks that's what a leprechaun sounds like when it sings. Fuck, 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 fuck. It's probably what he thinks it sounds like, but that's probably not it. Bullard said the encounter left her frightened to death as she recounted the 10 a.m. incident. Police noted Bullard appeared to be emotionally distraught and began crying. Well, probably because she didn't like his song.
Or the look he was giving her.
No, or not the, which you'll see if you click on the description that we leave you in the. Yeah. Cops identified the suspect as 34-year-old Gregory Zopf, a notorious Hobie Sound nuisance, who has an extensive criminal history that includes battery, trespassing, harassment, disorderly conduct, and drug charges. Go figure. He's got drug charges, Jess.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. After being read his rights, Zopf told deputies he was singing and dancing to his leprechaun song and continued to repeat that he was just singing. Fuck. Zopf was thereafter arrested for disorderly conduct and a misdemeanor and booked into the county jail on a $150 bond. Last week, Zopf pleaded no contest to threatening workers and customers at a Hobie Sound delicatessen. The victims, cops reported, had declined to give the panhandling Zopf any money. Oh, so he's out front. He's asking for some change and said, "Would you like to hear me leprechaun sound?" Zopf was sentenced to the time he served in custody following his January 29th arrest. At the time of that caller, witnesses reported that Zopf was in black clothing with a crown of thorns on his head, and he had a Chucky doll.
He had a Chucky doll on top of all of that?
Well, it looks like a leprechaun.
I just thought he has clothes on.
Well, he was wearing black clothing, and he had a crown of thorns on.
Yeah. He wasn't streaking at the same time. I mean, that would have just made it even more Florida man.
Well, he probably couldn't find any robes. I'm just saying. You know. Got to be particular with this stuff here, Jess. Well, Jess, in the first segment, we had a couple of jealous boyfriends. We had one jealous boyfriend who gunned down his ex's boyfriend. Is that
Yeah. Ex's current boyfriend.
Ex's current. Yeah. We had another
in the minivan.
We had another ex who blew up the house.
Yes, with the pythons and the scalping plan.
Mm-hmm. Crazy plot. In this one, we have a jealous boyfriend who allegedly guns down his ex's horse in a drunken rage after accusing her of cheating.
What did the horse ever do to anyone?
Maybe she was doing the horse.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. I'm trying to find the logic here, Jess.
He's jealous of the horse.
And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing this either. People can't see it because it's audio, but a jealous Idaho man shot and killed his ex-girlfriend's horse in a drunken rage after accusing his ex of cheating on him.
With the horse?
We're about to find out.
Just so confused.
24-year-old Sean Braden Jones was accused of shooting Maylee Cooper's horse, Bree. Oh, boy. It'd be a lesbian affair if it were a Bree. A 12-year-old American quarter horse that she had owned for 9 years and was worth up to $10,000, according to the Idaho State Journal. Jones allegedly confessed to shooting the horse 4 times with a .22 caliber lever action rifle. Boy, that's a painful death. 22 doesn't do anything.
Yikes.
He told the responding deputy last month that he split from Cooper a week earlier and that she'd kept her horse on his property. That was it? So the horse is on his property.
It just happened to be there.
Exactly. She had visited him just before the shooting, but left because he was drunk and started accusing her of cheating on him. Jones claimed he needed to put the horse down because no one had come since their breakup, and he didn't think the animal had been fed or taken care of. That's a lame excuse.
Yeah, not buying it, man.
Yep. But when the deputy asked Jones to elaborate, he stammered and was unable to horse. The suspect, who reeked of alcohol, then showed the deputy the animal's body. Aside from bullet wounds, the horse appeared to be in good health. There were no signs of malnourishment or neglect, according to the police report. At one point, Jones's father asked to speak with the deputy in private, telling him there was no need to shoot the horse, which the family had fed, and that his son was out of control and needed to face criminal charges. So the guy's father came forward and said the horse was fine.
He likes the horse better than him.
Yeah, that tells you something, doesn't it? Yeah. Probably like the almost daughter-in-law better, too.
Yeah.
Jones's blood alcohol content was determined to be 0.186%, over 2 times the legal limit for operating a vehicle. He was charged with felony malicious injury to property and booked into the Bingham County Jail. Jones offered to pay for half of what Bree was worth, but also made it a point to state that he did not regret shooting the horse. What an asshole.
Really?
Yeah. If convicted, he faces up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to only $1,000.
That's not harsh enough.
No. It was not immediately clear if he had a lawyer representing him. You know what they should do? They should put him on another horse, put a noose around his neck, and yell, "Giddy up." Just saying. Someone took my best friend from me. She pretty much took a bullet for me, Cooper told East Idaho News. Hopefully the justice system doesn't just sweep this under the rug. No one else gets hurt or another animal gets hurt, she went on to say. She shared a similar sentiment in a Facebook post about her profound sorrow. She wasn't just my best friend, she was my faithful companion and protector, she wrote of Bree. The pain of her passing is intensified by the knowledge that she saved my life, bravely stepping in harm's way and taking a bullet for me. Her selfless act of heroism is a testament to the deep bond we shared, a bond forged through countless hours of trust and companionship. Though she may no longer be at my side, her memory will forever gallop through the fields of my heart. Cooper's friend Shelby Haneri set up a GoFundMe page to help her buy another horse. Of course, to Maylee, Bree is irreplaceable. However, friends and family would love to see her honor the memory of Bree by continuing to pursue her equestrian dreams with another horse, Haneri wrote. Here's a picture of... show you a picture of her and the horse. There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
A beautiful horse. That's sad.
And I'll show you right here. Here's a picture of the asshole. There you go.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
Lock him up.
See, I tell you, they ought to just put a noose around his neck, put him on a horseback, and tell him giddy up. Just saying. No room for that. We were talking about rats in New York City earlier, Jessica, and this story is the bright side of rats, or it's the high side of rats.
I'm intrigued.
Okay. The headline here is "The Rats Are All High." Heavy mold and deteriorating elevators, HVAC units, and plumbing are some of the issues that have been plaguing New Orleans Police Department headquarters, according to the New Orleans Police. Do you have a feeling you know where this is going? But those aren't the only problems at aging police facilities around the criminal justice complex near Orleans Avenue and North Broad Street. Don't forget the vermin. New Orleans Police Department Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick told the City Council's Criminal Justice Committee on Monday. There's a problem in the evidence locker here, Jess. Are you ready for this? The rats are eating our marijuana, Kirkpatrick said. They're all high. Now, are the rats really eating all the weed?
I don't know, but if they are, I kind of want to see it.
I do too.
I bet it's adorable.
It is. You just see Ratatouille like walking around with the munchies, snacking
Give me
on
the Cheetos.
snacking on beignets. Rodents have infested police headquarters, scattering feces across desks and feasting on narcotics in the department's evidence room, she said. Cockroaches are also abundant.
But the cockroaches are high too.
Everybody's just stoned to the bejesus over there in New Orleans. It is not just at police headquarters, it's in all the districts. The uncleanliness is off the charts, Kirkpatrick said. The janitorial cleaning team deserves an award trying to clean what is uncleanable, Kirkpatrick went on to say. Kirkpatrick's grim assessment of police facilities came as she lobbied to relocate department headquarters to a downtown high-rise. The council is considering a 10-year lease on 2 upper floors of Poydras Tower, which is a temporary move while the department maps out future long-term housing. A motion to authorize the pending lease agreement cleared the committee and goes next to a full council vote. Chief Administrative Officer Gilbert Montano described it as a big step that may be followed by plans to vacate other buildings in the Mid-City Justice Complex. I foresee most of the criminal justice agencies will have to be temporarily housed as we address those old decrepit buildings, says Montano, who described the NOPD move as a Herculean lift. He said the 1968 headquarters, that's how the older it is.
That's not that old.
He says the 1968 headquarters building has sunk into dire straits. Under the terms of the lease agreement, the city would pay total base rent of $7.6 million from its general fund over the next 10 years to rent instead. It's a good deal for the city to move here, said Montano. He said putting money into repairs to the existing headquarters would cost 3 times as much. I just want to learn more.
That's crazy. That makes me feel really old if 1968 is like the buildings are falling down and they're full of rats.
Rats and roaches and everybody's high. Kirkpatrick suggested her outsider perspective helped her see the age-old problem in extreme disrepair with fresh eyes. Meanwhile, another person in the article said she seems to have a low tolerance for rats, just like me.
You just need some cats.
Yeah, you just need cats, and you need to smoke that weed faster. That's all.
Cats, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's all there is to it. I just thought that was a cute little story.
It's cute.
We've got 3 more stories here. Dumb crimes, stupid criminals for today. This next one it made national news because it was so unusual. Are you a fan of the movie Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes, love it.
Okay, so someone tried a crime exactly like Weekend at Bernie's in Ohio.
Oh, gosh.
2 Ohio women propped up a man's corpse in their vehicle and withdrew money from the dead man's bank account before dropping the 80-year-old's body off at a hospital emergency room.
Oh, that's so sad.
But funny. I mean, you know. Prosecutors this week charged 55-year-old Lorene B. Ferrallo and 63-year-old Karen Kasbaum with theft and gross abuse of a corpse, both felonies, in connection with their alleged activities following the death of Douglas Lehman. According to police, the two women were not related to Lehman, but lived with him at his home in Ashtabula, which is a city about 50 miles from Cleveland. Kasbaum was reportedly Lehman's girlfriend for the past several years, although you can't necessarily say she was that attached to him. I mean, not if she was going to take him for his cash at the end.
Yeah.
Just say.
Stop him in the car and go get his money.
Yep. Cops say that Ferrallo and Kasbaum, with the help of a third individual, removed Lehman's corpse from the residence on Monday and placed the body in the front passenger seat of his car, and then headed to a nearby U.S. Bank drive-through window. A screaming endorsement of U.S. Bank. The bank, police say, had previously allowed the women to withdraw money from Lehman's account as long as he was accompanying them. Okay, I get that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On March 4th, a teller apparently was unaware that Lehman was dead when the women pulled up and successfully took out $900.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Investigators charged that the women placed Lehman in the vehicle in such a manner that he would be visible to bank staff in order to make the withdrawal. Jess, do you think they propped up his hand and put it on a fishing line so he could wave to him in the back seat?
Oh, it's terrible.
Ferrallo and Kasbaum then drove to the Ashtabula County Medical Center, where they dropped off Lehman's body and departed without providing any information about the man or themselves. Police subsequently identified the duo and questioned them about the bizarre incident. The women said that Lehman died inside his home. His cause of death is under investigation, officials said. Ferrallo and Kasbaum, there are pictures of them, by the way, so you can take a good look of what Weekend at Bernie's looks like for the geriatric remake.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I find it quite funny. According to court records, Ferrallo's rap sheet includes convictions for reckless assault, possession of drug paraphernalia, criminal trespass, driving under the influence, theft, and attempted possession of drugs. She was arrested in 2022 for possession of fentanyl, but a disposition in that case is not available. Kasbaum has previously been convicted of theft, soliciting criminal trespass, receiving stolen property, possession of drug paraphernalia, and attempted drug abuse. Probably not the two women you want hanging around when you die.
Nope. Not the kind of people you want living with you in your final years.
No, not at all. I have a funny story from Japan. We're going now to our not safe for work part of our program here, Jess. So here's the deal. You're going to give us a few seconds so you can get the kids out of the room or turn your listening device down if you're at work so that the boss doesn't hear this. Our next couple of stories are probably not safe for work. So here we go. We're going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to Japan here, Jess, where a man is arresting for pouring urine on a pachinko machine in Sendai.
For what?
A pachinko machine. Don't ask me. I've never played.
Okay.
Police in Sendai, Miyagi Prefecture have arrested a 48-year-old man on suspicion of property destruction after he poured urine on a pachinko machine, causing it to malfunction. According to police, Takahiro Shionuma, I could do it all day.
He nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Who works for the Miyagi Prefecture Labor Bureau, poured urine on the machine at a parlor in Taihaku Ward at around 1:05 p.m. on Saturday. Well, see, it was because he was working on a Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally justified.
That's right. That, according to Kyoto News, the machine's alarm went off, prompting parlor staff to report the incident to police. Now, the machine probably has an alarm in case of abuse, or my guess is if a smoke alarm or a fire alarm goes off and the water goes off.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You would
that
think,
makes sense.
Right? So the alarm went off, probably thinking the fire alarm went off and that the sprinklers went off, right? Except in this case, the machine was getting a golden shower. Security camera footage showed Shionuma pouring something on the machine, leading to his arrest on Sunday when he returned to the pachinko parlor. Police said he has denied the allegation and quoted him as saying he doesn't remember because he believes he was drunk on Saturday.
Oh.
Well,
I guess that tracks.
When you got to go, Jess. I'm just saying.
Well, to his credit, at least he didn't actually urinate on it. You know, he collected it elsewhere and brought it and dumped it. So it's not public urination on top.
Sure.
I mean...
Either way you slice it, he was either pissed off or pissed on. I'm just saying. People are going to be like, lay out that goddamn rim shot, would you? It's handy. It's a handy little deal.
I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Could you say that again? Anyways. Our last story, Jess. According to cops, a man beat his victim after a trans discovery. The defendant thought his wrestling opponent was a girl.
Okay.
Unusual, I know. A violent assault happened on March 11th and occurred after an Iowa man. We're going back to your home state.
Oh, man.
Jessica.
Corn-fed Iowa boy. Let's hear it.
Corn-fed Iowa boy. A violent assault happened this morning. Actually, we're recording this on the 11th. It happened this morning after an Iowa man, thinking that he was horsing around with a girl, learned that the individual was a transgender person, according to cops who say the victim was left covered in blood and required hospital treatment. Only in Iowa, Jess. Investigators say
ashamed.
that... What's that? You're ashamed?
I said I'm ashamed.
Yeah, you should be. Those Iowans. Investigators say that after 35-year-old Justin Ferrier Lewis spent time last night at an American Legion Hall in an Iowa City suburb, he invited people he met there to his home. Based on Facebook posts, Lewis appears to be a U.S. Army veteran. Well, that's not good. Well, inside the residence, Lewis engaged in a physical wrestling match with an opponent the defendant thought was a girl. Now, the correct rule in intergender matches in WWE is you tag into another girl. I'm just saying. You don't wrestle girls.
Yeah. Why is he wrestling a girl?
That's right. You got to tag.
Weird.
You got to tag another girl in. You wrestle a guy. Otherwise, the referee throws it out.
Guys wrestle guys. Girls wrestle girls.
That's right. So that was according to criminal complaints, which detailed the 2:30 a.m. incident. That might have had something to do with it. Upon subsequently discovering that he had been tussling with a transgender person, matters escalated into what was believed to be a physical fight. Which, again, no closed fists in wrestling, Jess. We know this from state wrestling tournaments.
He's breaking all the rules.
Right. The victim was transported to the hospital with a swollen and purple in color left eye and face covered in blood. During police questioning, Lewis reportedly admitted he was angry when he found out, this is a quote, he was angry when he found out they were a transgender person.
Oh, man.
He was from Southern Iowa.
Sounds like a real tool.
Yeah, right. Lewis was arrested and charged with a pair of felony assault counts, one of which categorized as a hate crime. He was booked into the Johnson County Jail on $5,000 bond, and the judge ordered him to have no contact with the victim. Probably the smartest thing that was done in Iowa all day. Just saying. By the way, this is I'm going to show you a picture of the smartest guy in Iowa City right there.
Oh, man.
And I say that facetiously, people. By the way, folks, we don't read this story because we're proud of anything this idiot did. We're just reading it because it's a dumb crime by a stupid criminal, and that's the theme of the show.
He's an extra stupid criminal.
Yes, an extra stupid criminal with an extra dumb crime. We don't encourage hate at all on this show, at all. So there you go.
No, that just makes us think he's even stupider.
That's right. Let me see. Do I have one here to cheer us up? Let me see if I got one here to cheer us up. And finally, this might not necessarily be a crime, Jess, But we'll end on a lighter note.
All right.
We talked earlier about rats getting high in New Orleans. Now let's talk about getting the entire city of Los Angeles high in one fell shot.
What?
A large fire at a cannabis operation sent plumes of smoke towards downtown Los Angeles on Saturday morning.
Yep, that'll do it.
That's what you call your LA wake and bake. According to preliminary information from the LA Fire Department, the blaze was first reported around 8 a.m. at a two-story commercial building on 1400 East Newton Street. Video from the Citizen app shows a massive plume of black smoke coming from the building and being blown towards downtown. Information released later on Saturday morning by the LAFD officials state that 145 firefighters took just under an hour to extinguish the flames. Boy, it took an hour, Jess, an hour, and a lot of inhaling. I'm just saying.
I was going to say, they're all...
Oh, yeah. Which had engulfed the 69-year-old structure, which housed a cannabis operation. The structure, heavily damaged by the intense fire, appears to have housed a cannabis operation, said the LAFD as they asked for Cheetos. Whether this was a legally permitted business has yet to be determined, but we'll get to that after a nap. LAFD also stated that 4 of the first firefighters experienced an unexpected burning sensation on their faces. And then they said they saw spiders. They were taken to a nearby hospital in fair condition as part of the department's protocol. No other injuries were reported, but a pair of cadaver canines were requested due to eyewitnesses telling officials that 2 people may have been inside. What started the fire remains unknown. However, Snoop Dogg was seen standing downwind and going, "Is that all you got?" So there you go. That will wrap up Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals for today. Jess, tell people where they can catch you online.
Well, you can find my website at jessicafreeburg.com. You can find me on Instagram under the same name, Jessica Freeburg, Facebook. I'm on all the socials, and I'd love to connect with you.
There you go. And of course, you've got new stuff coming out.
I do. I have 2 books coming out this fall, one about monsters of the Northeast and another one about ghosts of Pennsylvania that I'm working on right now.
There you go. And when you have those out, we'll have to have you on the show. So there you go.
Yeah, that'd be super fun.
We'll have you on the show before then, but I'm just saying.
Have me on the show as often as you want, but it'd be fun to come and talk about the creepy stories I'm writing about.
That's right. We'll have you on to promote the books at that time as well. I myself am off from KNSI this weekend, but thank you so much for weighing in on social media and just saying good morning to me. That was greatly appreciated. On tomorrow's show, Supernatural News. We'll have Jessica back tomorrow for Supernatural News. Looking forward to that.
Yay.
Hopefully I'll be able to read tomorrow. I, for some reason, had an issue with that today. So Supernatural News tomorrow. And then Thursday, Jess, there's a brand new documentary out there. Paranormal documentary.
Is it?
I'll tell you more about it tomorrow. I'm going to tease you today. Just let you know, brand new paranormal documentary out there. Absolutely phenomenal. I'll tell you a little bit about it tomorrow. So I'll tease it.
Excited.
Yeah, I'll have you looking forward to that tomorrow. So that'll do it for today. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for tuning into the best in true crime podcasting. This has been True Crime Tuesday. Join us tomorrow for more supernatural news and parashare on the best in true crime podcasting, Darkness Radio.